You want me to finish this cigarette first?
We're live. Welcome to We'd Been There, episode 1. Thank you everybody for Is it not Bill? I can't tell if we're up or not, honestly, on here.
Well, let's not find out. Let's end the live and see if it uploads, dude. Let's not fucking do a fucking hour podcast.
Well, I
Like we're,
wouldn't do an hour podcast.
I'm just saying, let's
I'm gonna
we
check
could end it.
YouTube.
We could end it. We're gonna have to end it
We could
anyway. You
we
can't
could
start it
spend
off like this,
15
dude. You
seconds
can't
saying
start it off
hello.
like this.
We're already live right now. Yeah, it's live.
Let's not fucking do a
Awesome.
fucking hour
Awesome. It's working.
podcast.
How you doing,
Like
everybody?
we're
Welcome to EP1. This is the first episode of We'd Been There. My name is Uncle Rick from Uncle Rick's Genetics, as you can see behind me. And this is my partner in crime here.
yeah, Matt. I'm on the moon right now, currently.
He wanted to give a nickname, but he didn't want to use his nickname. So,
Yeah.
either way.
Welcome to episode 1.
Welcome to episode 1. What to expect when you want to start cultivating. So, some of the things I wanted to talk about was really more or less like where you are before you decide I'm going to start growing. Like people just usually from my experience are like, "Oh yeah, I bought some weed one time and had seeds in it and I just decided to germinate them." And that was the end of it.
No idea what to expect.
Right. And they just kind of just went all willy-nilly, but that's actually, a way a lot of people started. A lot of people that I know started that way, and
Absolutely.
I don't
I
really
started
think
that way.
I don't think it's a bad thing to start that way, to start with a bag seed. I think it definitely teaches you a lot. Um,
I
you
started with
know,
a plant, so
you started with a plant.
yeah, I
Nice.
bought a plant at a festival, and I was like, all right, now I gotta take care of this thing. How the hell am I supposed to do that? And I killed it, but
Oh, nice job.
it
I
got me
didn't know that.
interested. Yeah.
I didn't know that. Oh, you live and you learn, dude. And that's really what this is all
Or no, it was a
about.
male. That's what it was. It was a male.
Oh, okay. So you had to kill
But then I killed it. Well, I didn't have to. It was the only plant I had at the time.
it. Fuck you to do
That's,
that,
that's not why I was trying to grow the fucking thing.
right? That's not your aim.
I wanted the weed to smoke it. Yeah, like not dust. I'm good on the dust.
We have a couple questions for the viewers. If you want to add in the chat, where were you in the world when you started growing, and was it legal when you started? Is it legal now where you're at? And did anyone help you, to get started, or were you on your own, like bag seed status, just kind of going off, trying to seeing what happens? Definitely leave a comment, on the channels that you can leave comments on for the people listening to the podcast. You obviously can't leave a comment, but if you can, leave one. Answer at any of those. We'd love to know just how you got into it or what it was like. Some people are like, "Oh, I started in the 60s and the 70s," and I'm like, "Holy crap. I love hearing those stories. It's wild."
Yeah.
Ripping down old people told me they used to rip down street lamps and hook them up in their closet. I'm like, that's insane.
Back when they just called weed pot.
Right?
Smoking some pot.
Growing pot. Yeah. Back in the day.
Yeah.
So basically, aside from those questions I had for the people watching, what can you expect when you're starting to get yourself into position to grow? Like what's the first things that you would check off on your boxes and start to purchase? Most people just go in the Amazon frenzy, which is what we call it. and we try to keep
which
people
is
from doing that.
the wrong way to do it.
Yeah,
Not everything is bad on Amazon. Let's keep it real,
no, I mean,
but you're looking at the essentials, like, so what to expect when you're growing. So like, boom, you have a seed or you have a plant. You need the main essentials, which are light, medium, being able to give it the correct water and nutrients. So like those would be the first essentials. Like we can get into environment and all
right.
that jazz.
I think environment's number one. When I think about how people hit me up and they're like, "Oh yeah, I think I'm going to start growing in my basement," the number one thing I ask them is like, "What is your environment like right
Yeah,
now?"
you definitely need this a dedicated space, and you have to be able to
Right.
control that. But
Right. You should be able to keep the area at the optimal temperatures, just about 10 degrees below the optimal temperatures of what you want, kind of all the time. And if you can't do that without the equipment there, it's only going to be increasingly harder to do it once it's in there.
absolutely, I
So
totally agree.
keep that
I'm
in
just saying,
mind.
like, hey, what do you grab week one of just like this, thing being thrown on you by yourself,
Honestly,
you
I
know?
think the first thing you would want to look into is genetics. Because if you're going to grow autos or photos, that's really what you'd need to know as far as space and your budget. You know,
Yeah,
it's
but
kind of going to
but
set
if
the
you know
tone.
that, if you know that, you have it like planned out. So you know, that's probably the good first step into like
Yeah, definitely
figuring it out.
plan out your grow. Yes, we used to say size up your grow. If you're trying to grow two plants, make sure that you have the space to do two large plants, so that if you don't do so well in the first few goes around, you can grow into that size tent with some big plants eventually. But realistically, if you want to start out with something um, that's made for two plants, make sure it's made for two large plants, not two medium plants, or you could just barely fit two plants in there, because you want to be able to grow into this thing. Not
Yeah,
everybody
for
gets it.
sure.
Some people get it great the first time around. They blow it out of the water, and some people take two or three, you know, tries to start really filling up their space.
Yeah. And then you progress to 3 tenths, one for pretty much every phase of the growth. Germination through week two of veg, and then it goes in another tent for the
Yeah,
rest
so
of veg.
something that I can't stand is the Amazon reviews on everything, because no matter what you look at on Amazon, the reviews are great.
Yeah,
Um,
they're
and,
paid. They're
and not
paid reviews.
and
We
not
know that.
not everything on there is great, but everything will fit your budget, and that's the
Yeah.
part that I think messes
The
people up
colo,
the most.
the colo frogs of the world.
I actually sent you, I don't know if you saw that, but I sent you a screenshot of somebody's grow, and they had two 600-watt metal halides, and it said Colo Frog Light. And I was like, what? What is Colo Frog? Is that like a brand I'm not aware of?
Yeah, it is, I guess.
Yeah, she just stole the name, dude. There's a lot of spammers and scammers on Facebook.
Yeah,
Steal all the names. You didn't even know. But yeah, when you're shopping, you definitely need to figure out what you're gonna take up in your current space that you're gonna make a grow space, and you need to have a plan. That's absolutely
yeah.
step one.
I would say like research first. Research should be step one. Like Google some things. My suggestion is find a good community on a social media platform. We have a few great ones that we deal with here. You know,
Right.
we'd been there. Um, and you can kind of just scroll through and see what's going on. And, you know, check out how people grow and pick a a certain style for the space that you have, and kind of like find someone that has a setup and engage with the community, ask questions. You know, we understand that not everybody's been growing for 2 decades, so and we want people to come and ask questions. That's what we're here for.
Right.
We're pretty active. We have a lot of group members that have been growing for quite some time that can pitch in, help. Um, it's a great community. Everybody's there to support one another, um, and we help you achieve you know different levels of success. Based on your knowledge and experience. So like if you're just starting out, we're gonna not gonna put too much on you. We're gonna give you the basics and let you kind of progress and help you along the way. And we'll push your boundaries as well. We have grow offs and you know things that we do inside these groups and pages. Um, so it's an opportunity for you to get like a first-hand experience on how to grow. We call them grow alongs. We send everybody out beans. Um, we're here for any equipment that you might need as well. And we all start at the same time, and we all talk and help each other out along the way. You're growing with us, not against us. So we're going to try to bring you up to maximum level. So
Right.
that's pretty dope as well. So I would say research, because that's how you can kind of like figure out what direction you want to go in before you're just like piecing things together.
Right. The community is definitely something we've put a good amount of time into, getting like-minded beginners and people that are experienced that will share with you their tips and tricks, and it really can fast track you, getting through your first few grows with success, having the right, um, community around you. So you definitely need a community. You definitely need to research. And after you've researched and after you find your community, what's up, Mark Schmuck? How are you, man? Once you research, once you find your community, and I don't mean like that in the sense of like you're just going to get on the computer and instantly find what you need. Um, that's what we are here for. There's a lot of content out there that isn't good, and there's a lot of people out there that are going to give you this bro science and not really not really show you the simple way. And we appreciate the basics more than anything, because sometimes to master something you have to master the basics, and that's harder than it sounds sometimes. So when we when we talk to a beginner, we usually do a grow consultation and give them about 15 minutes to understand their level of dedication to this experience. you know um, if
It's always
they're
more than 15 minutes.
Yeah, we start with 15 minutes. It's usually like an hour, but we usually try to feel someone out, because 8 times out of 10 people are overbuying or underbuying. They'll see some crazy manipulated ad where it says that it's a 6,000 watt light and it's only 60 watts. So
60.
yeah, and they've been doing this since, I don't know if you remember this, Matt, but when they used to sell audio equipment back in the day, they would put like 1,000 watt amp, and then you would
And it's a
you would
hundred.
look up its RMS, yeah, and it would be 100 watts. Yeah, they did this back in the day too, and I don't know how they're still allowed to get away with doing stuff like that, but that's, like, it's not as common as the biggest problem now. Anybody makes a full spectrum light, and that full spectrum light is, you know from anywhere. You know what I mean? And anybody has it. So they,
Using diodes from flashlights.
well, I mean, like,
You know,
everybody can make one. Everybody can, pay a little bit of money and make a light. Um, and slap a name on it. What was the one that was everywhere? uh, Parfac works. You don't even see them anywhere anymore. Panvillo, they're gone. You don't see them anywhere anymore. But like you see all these other new companies. So it almost feels like what these same suppliers are doing are just recycling names and models of their lights and pushing them into the same groups.
Yeah.
Now I see what's the one I see all the time now, the RDJ bonus. That's like the next. That's the next one. It's a really cheap light. They
Well, what
don't
I
even
think it is too is
hide
like
it.
I feel like people buy these lights and realize that they're not so great, and after a while, like everyone stops buying that product from that company, so they just change the name of the company and make it sound like it's new, so that they can, oh, this isn't that company, but or they might make one little slight alteration on the light, you know, and it's the same thing.
They could be. I mean, honestly,
I mean, dude,
there's
how
not too
many
much
how many
difference.
lights do you see out there that look like Mars Hydro lights? You
Oh,
know,
like everybody, every
right?
single company that isn't name brand.
Or if it's a quantum board, it looks like a Spider Farmer or an HLG. If it's, you
Right.
know,
Well, they were just the biggest ones to do it first with that
yeah,
brand or that style light, but and that exactly what we're talking about is why it's difficult for someone to just get into this on their own and get results out of something because you're going to be having to, try to get through all of these different navigate through all these different companies that are all claiming the same thing. That was the biggest red flag for me when I got into this a long time ago. Is that every light company had the same claims and the same diodes, uh, you know, and different PPFDs and the same wattages. So if they're all using the same stuff, how are they all different? It's not like they were wildly different from one another, but
right,
it's like I feel like everybody was in science class for the what is that, the science fair, and everybody's there for the science fair, and they give you all the same object, and then they're like, all right, go make something, and it's all the same stuff,
yeah. So,
but
I
they
mean,
aren't the same. That's the difference. When you get these products, they are not the same thing. Like Spider
absolutely,
Farmer and HLG use the same product, but they're nowhere near the same quality light, even though the diode count is relatively the same. So, it's worth wondering why
yeah.
their Samsung Evos aren't as strong as the other Samsung Evos.
So, one of the reasons why, well, let me just share my experience. I suppose we can do that, because that'll kind of like maybe tell people what not to do. So, I got a plane at a festival. I brought it home. I was totally prepared. This was like an impulse buy. But like I felt slightly responsible and I wanted to give it a try. So like I bought a light from Walmart and it was like a little bar light and then it had like the plant bulbs that looks like the outdoor. Like it was terrible. I built a grow tent out of PVC pipe and I lined like thermal blankets around it. Um, I got like different kind of nutrients, but I didn't know what to do. So I'm buying like Super Thrive and like, just like random nutrients. And I bought a little clip fan from a hardware store. And that was basically what I had. And then like as I started researching it, because I saw the plane, I was like, man, this thing ain't doing so great. Like maybe I need to like Google on how to grow this shit. Well, when I did, it opened the world to like all these things. Like grow lights, powerful. You need this, you need that. So like I did. I went on the Amazon. I didn't know anybody that grew weed at the time, and I'm buying $100 lights, $200 lights, a cheap grow tent, fabric pots, like all this shit, soil, and I'm like trying to budget, and I'm like, okay, well, I just spent $250. I don't have like seeing all these lights that are $1,000. I'm just like, I don't even think that's what I need, you know. And then you join groups and like you post pictures, and you know, people are like, and not being haters or judgmental, but they're like, dude, you have a blurple light. You know, like that's not gonna grow shit. Like that's enough light for like a succulent plant. Like that's gonna do nothing for your cannabis. And I was like, oh well, you know, Amazon said it was a good freaking grow light. I didn't know any better. You know, so then like I start talking to people and they're like, nah man, we recommend like, you know, get this tent. It's bigger. It's gonna be able to like hold a plant that's gonna grow up to be big. What you have is kind of small. You know, here's a good soil you can use, or like you can try to make your own. But just starting out, just buy a bag, you know, Fox Farm soil, you know. And I continue to just learn and do research. And now I'm like, well, shit, like maybe I need like a 500-watt grow light because I'm reading that, like all this stuff. And then I look at them and I'm like, holy shit, they're $600. What I'm trying to get at is if I didn't buy all those purchases on Amazon and, you know, weird websites and I spent 250, 250, 250, you know, just buying all this, I had so much garbage at that point. Like if I would just took the money and bought something real, you know, 500-watt light, 4x4 tent, inline carbon filter fan kit. Like, yeah, some of these kits can range from 800 to, you know, I mean, basically it's almost limitless,
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
pretty crazy.
I mean, you can build something that's like $20,000 and
Oh,
even more than
especially
that,
if you get into
depending
dosing.
on what size, you know, you can do commercial size shit if you wanted to.
Especially if you get
Um,
into dosing. The dosing machines are thousands of dollars just to
right. So, I mean, it
pH
can
it.
be like, it's all about how much, how far you want to take it, you know, and I would say a good starting point would probably be somewhere around $1,000, you know, because if you start buying stuff little by little and it's not the correct stuff that you need because you're on a budget, I would say wait,
Yeah. Yeah,
you
essentially
know.
you're wasting I would say you're
You don't
wasting
need a
your
car to go back to work and you buy the frame and then 2 weeks later you buy the engine and then it's
tires.
an engine from a Ford Taurus and you're building a Mustang. You know, like it's just not gonna. It's gonna
Right.
be a waste of your time.
Exactly. I
You know.
200% agree with that. I had a post up that said if you don't have the money for the light, wait. This is a hobby just like anything else that, you do
And what
and
salesman will tell you that? None on this planet. Like they'll just try to sell you some bullshit and be like,
right.
"Oh, well, you don't have $1,000. How much you got? 500. All right, here, take this." Like we're
Take this
telling
one.
you, like they're just out to get your money. Like we're telling you, like no,
Yeah, just
wait.
wait. If
Like
you want the
we
results you're
don't care.
expecting, all right.
We don't
If you're
care about your
gonna,
money.
Mark said, how do you guys feel about the kits built for newbies? AC Infinity comes to mind.
I mean, AC. I'm not gonna lie. Like
I have some thoughts on this.
I mean, AC Infinity isn't it's not a bad start. It's really not. I mean,
I disagree.
you can do way worse. As far as like,
I disagree. I think the AC Infinity, Mars Hydro, Spider Farmer, they all have the same technology in like a different frame. Again, it's like,
absolutely,
yeah, okay.
absolutely, I agree.
So when you go into and this is the crazy part, like if you were to go and buy like all the AC Infinity stuff, and I mean like you get the intake, the exhaust fan controller, kit that's wireless and all that jazz, and that is going to be controlling, the light and like all this stuff. Basically, they're giving you an environment controller, right?
Right.
You buy all their proprietary stuff and you're stuck with it. Anything of theirs goes, you have to replace it with their stuff. And their stuff does not is not
Yeah,
that
you need to be committed.
great.
You need to be
Only
like
their
100% committed to that
only
brand.
their tent is strong because those 1 inch bars, and they say it's 2000D, but it's 1680 because they didn't even have any listing for 2000D in any
Yeah,
of the manufacturing warehouses. But
Yeah,
like one of the things that I'd like to say is like we make a kit for beginners that you could buy anything, any exhaust fan, any CO2
absolutely.
controller, any circulating fans, any watering system, and it can break, and you could buy a better one, or you could buy it, hate that, and get a different one, but you don't have to change the system. So with
Yeah, I
AC
mean, our
Infinity,
products are way more universal, and
right?
they're
So
better quality.
but they're not
Absolutely.
much more, and that's what I'm trying to
Oh,
get at. Like if
no.
you're gonna go for a quote beginner tent from AC Infinity just because they make it easy, we make a tent kit that's easier to understand, and once you understand the science of the plant, it's easier for you to control. As far as like spectral separation, separating different colors of lights, and being able to time them based on when you want them to come on and the intensity of each spectrum. You know, it's kind
Well,
of very different, including like CO2 control and the fact that you can water your plants or control circulating fans. Like we do all the same stuff, but it's way higher
absolutely.
quality. I've
I
seen too
mean,
much
what
AC
I think
Infinity
what
stuff fall
sets us
apart.
apart, what sets us apart beyond products, from pretty much all these other companies, like go to Spider Farmer, buy something. Go to Mars Hydro, buy something. Go to AAC Infinity and buy something. And try to get someone to tell you how to use it,
Or to return it, or
you know.
like get a warranty
Well,
claim.
I mean, not
Do
even
you
a
know who?
warranty.
Do you know who
Like,
AC Infinity is? I watched that company start because I knew who they were before growing, and before growing, they're a like server rack and computer cooling company. That's what they do. They were specializing in those 3 and 4 inch computer fans, and like a digital kit that you can control the humidity and the temp from like a nice graphic user interface on the outside of the wall for your home network system, or like they did it for humidors and keeping rooms, with a humidistat. So to watch them really just have one technology, that's all they really had was the temp and humidity RH like control. For them to really only have that, and then they branched out into creating an entire grow kit that's like the only thing you need to grow. Um, I've like I said, quality is very low. They literally do what every other company does. They just rebrand stuff from China. They make it look a little different than the other guys, but Mars Hydro and Spider Farmer have like almost identical
absolutely.
like fan
I mean,
kits.
my point was like, you can do way better than AC Infinity,
But it's
but
expensive. You're
you
not.
you can do
It's
way
not
worse
cheap.
as well.
It's
No,
not
it is
cheap.
expensive. I
Right.
mean,
So if you
you
get
look at
into a
all
kit
these
that's,
big companies.
but it's still not even made for cannabis. Like that's the biggest thing that I see as the issue. Like if you really got down to the brass tacks of it, it might only be made to keep the environment somewhat close to cannabis. But other than that, their lights are nowhere near strong enough. They do a lot of the same thing where they sell just like everybody else, dude. Mars Hydro is probably the nicest light that I've seen out there as far as the budget lights. It sounds stupid, but they're not
No.
using Samsung, and they
And I'm
don't
not even,
claim to use
and it's not
Samsung.
even a bar light. Like they're like,
Well, they do have bar lights. They have
I know,
quite a
but
few, but
their quantum boards are, you know, what they're known for, I believe.
well, they're known for not making a crappy product and not being super expensive. So I think that Mars Hydro is, if you were to look at it from an aspect of manufacturing these things, they're lying the least.
Absolutely.
So
Like one of the things
that's
that
what it
Great Green
really
Door
is.
does, one of the things Great Green Door does is, like we have better lights and they're either spot on comparable to like a less powerful light that one of these companies carry, or we have a better light for cheaper.
Right. For an example, I think it's the Spider Farmer SE 7000, right? I'm pretty sure that's a 580-watt light, and it's like 700 and change. We have a 680 watt that's $680, and it's got like way more lighting on it, designed for what you're growing. Like that's it's just not comparable. Aside from the fact that the each color can be timed or dimmed, depending if you buy the controller with it or not. But if you were to not get the controller, you could dim each spectrum, so you're getting the controller, or the ability to control each spectrum, plus you're getting 100 more watts for less money.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean, and that's a perfect example as to what I mean when he's saying AC Infinity isn't the worst you could do, but I'm saying like if you were to go pound for pound and line up a tent kit that we make versus AC Infinity, it would either be comparable or a little bit more, but the functionality would be 2 to 3 times. You'd
Yeah.
have control of so much more and the ability to grow further from there. Just
Plus
because
customer support at your fingertips, literally. Like you buy any products from us, you get.
Mark Schmuck said, but that may be a bit much for a 2x4, 680 watts. Or is it? Well, the SE 7000 is a 4x4 light. So that was just to compare. But,
Minimum.
we get into like a 2x4. We do have a 600 watt for 2x4. It is for a more very experienced grower that's looking like 85 watts a square foot. So you really got to know what you're doing. Run CO2, probably see a green, and you're really just trying to turn that 2x4 into as much as possible. But we recommend really running like a 250 watt light. And I believe the 250 watt is 239.
In the
Um,
Cosmo.
yeah, the Cosmo 250. It's $239, and that has a 5-year warranty on it, and is designed for that space. Or you could veg a 3x3 or 3x4 with it. So they're really powerful lights. That's also completely controllable by our controller. If you wanted to get an environment controller for that 2x4, that would control the fans, the clip fans. It would control the if you had a heat or air conditioning or dehumidifier, humidifier, whatever pumps. It basically has a big power strip that you can control each socket how you feel by temperature, by CO2, by time. It's kind of unlimited how you could set up one of these kits to really make it where it fits your growing need. And if you don't need it to do that, you don't have to purchase those things. But if you needed everything, we do supply everything so that you can make it as automated as possible. And that's what this leads back to what Matt was saying is doing your research and finding a company or a place or a community that is actually dedicated to this task, because a lot of these lights out here will grow far better plants in a different variety than
Yeah.
cannabis would,
And
you
what
know?
he means is dedicated to the task. He doesn't mean like take your money and sell you a product or whatever. Like dedicated to the task is seeing you grow awesome plants and reaping the benefits of that. That's the
Right.
task
We started
because
this
that's
community for
yeah.
that purpose. Like we are sick of people seeing people go and spend enough money to buy a good kit over the course of a year or two, getting into growing, having terrible experiences throughout it, and not ever reaching that level where they do buy another kit and do spend the money and then they just bite the bullet. Or a lot of them just get rid of it, sell it to someone else for them to have a bad experience, and then they just get out of growing and they go to the dispensary. Um,
That it's very discouraging. Yeah, absolutely.
right, and we try to take that away. That's really the thing. When you can focus on knowing your environment is correct, your lighting is right, your soil and nutrients, what you're using, you have an idea of what you're doing, then growing the plant is not as difficult because you actually can grow the plant, not worry about how to figure out environment or worry about how to understand lighting so you could buy an additional supplemental light. None of the lights we sell need any additional anything. But a lot of the stuff that people buy online, all of a sudden they got to buy two or three, or the worst is when I see a 4x4 with six lights in it, and I'm like, they were at least $80 a piece. You know, they could have
Is
spent
that,
$500 on a
is that a
decent one.
chillum I just saw?
No, no, sir.
Hit that super boof hash again.
Huh?
You better not be hitting that super boof hash again.
Oh no.
I need you to save some of that for next week or this weekend.
I think the chillum is here. It's right here.
We'll just
Yeah,
save some. You still have some of that,
it's
right?
still packed. The
You
hash?
still have, yeah.
Yeah, I believe I do have enough to hit a chillum.
Oh, bro, no, save that for the festival.
I have some to put in the chillum, plus the chillum. By the way, Matt's talking about the festival. We will be in Kutztown for the PA Canafest um, festival. So if you are nearby, definitely come and see us. We'll have a live going at 8:30 in the morning on Facebook for a wake and bake giveaway. And then, if you come and see us in person, tell us, you seen or you heard the podcast and you came down, we'll have a prize for you as well. So that's just a little extra giveaway.
Free stuff.
Give the 420 saving the 420 love away. Also, I want to say that on 420, everything on the website is 50% off. Everything, every strain,
It's,
everything is half off.
I'm gonna put
It's
that.
just on 420 though.
I'm gonna put that in the group.
I did.
Oh, nice. There's
I
probably
put
gonna be
that.
a
I put
frenzy.
that up. Yeah. Well, I want to give as much as we can back to the community this year because
Absolutely.
a lot of people had a crap year growing last year, and
Yeah, they deserve it.
yeah, I think that it would definitely be a nice thing. People would be able to, if they were hoping to buy something, now they could buy double.
We're the same for less.
Yeah, or the same for less, whatever works for them.
No limits. So wait, does that include lights too? No, that can't be lights.
No, that's UncleRicksGenetics.com.
Uncle Rick's. I was gonna say like,
UncleRicksGenetics.com.
you almost
Fifty
just gave me
percent
a
off
heart attack.
everything.
You almost
No,
gave me a heart attack. And look, that's how you know we're not marking the prices up because I'm over here like thinking like
what's happening?
we're fucking losing money now. Like so.
We're gonna have you come back. We're not gonna have you be able to be stationed on the moon for the next podcast episode. So we're doing half off on
Right.
equipment.
And that's why those big companies are able to do shit like that because their lights are so cheaply made. Like they pay $100 for a light and they're selling it for like $500-600. Like you can
Yeah.
afford to do that. Why?
If RDJ and these companies like that can't make, like, who is the one? Parfac works. They're another one.
Yeah,
And what was one more? They had like the real big bar lights. But anyways, um, these guys would come into a group and give away 100 lights, and then they'd have their sale, and the light would be like $165.
yeah.
Creativity. You ever see the Creativity company?
I mean, just how do like just quality control? Like we
It's not
when we
even
get
that. It's
when
not
we
even
get
that. They're
lights, I
using
know, but when we get
Evistar.
lights made, Eric, how do we do it? We do it by order.
Right, I know, but these guys are using. It's not even like that. Their quality control is bad. It is, but aside from quality
It's
control,
terrible.
aside
It's
from that,
terrible.
they're using stuff that is not very efficient. It's very cheap. It doesn't last very long.
Right.
The lenses on these lights, they dim they like turn yellow or they melt
Well,
glue
no
from
shit.
behind through it, and then it
I mean,
kills
you're a
the
worker
efficacy
in
of
a
the light.
factory. You're a worker in a factory, and a million pieces just came in for an order because that's how these companies order stuff. A million lights have just been made, and they're coming down the assembly line. You gotta inspect them, dude. There's no way that they're doing thorough inspections, and that's why their lights have all those problems.
Well, I
So,
mean,
like,
I agree
when we
with you.
make lights to
Those
order,
cheap drivers.
Well, I'm just saying, like, if we order lights, like, what's max quantity other than like the seedling lights? Like a few, a handful. So, like, when our lights are made, they're checked because these guys are like, oh, we only have 5 lights to check, and they go through with a fine tooth comb.
Right. Two
You
days
know,
quality control on top of
it's
that.
not like they
They
got
run
like,
straight for 2 days,
right.
dimming up and down for 2 days. Mark Schmuck, where do you sell your stuff? It's not the seed bank, right? No. As of right now, we are still trying to get a bank to allow us to sell what we sell and educate people on how to use it. Apparently, that is,
Frowned upon.
I guess they call it risky in the financial world, because I guess they've done their research and see that people have a hard time with growing and they charge back things that they purchase when they don't get results. So they think us telling you how to use it will somehow make that worse. I don't understand that, but we're in the middle of a
Working
joust
on
with a bank right now, out of Canada. So hopefully we will have processing on that, um, you know, soon.
in the very near future.
You could go to greatgreendoor.net and check out all the products, though. They are listed, everything's there. If you did want to make a purchase, we are doing, personal payments because we do want to still, get these things out to people. So, if you do want something, we can do a consult so that we understand that you're purchasing something that's going to work for you. Um, and then, whatever you need, we absolutely can facilitate that. we do. We actually just sold out of the Osiris seedling light, and if you are waiting on the next order, that is about 30 days away. We have 200 coming back into stock. So, um, like Matt said, we don't. We it's crazy. We have the diodes to make close to 1,000 of these lights, but it's not worth the quality control and stuff like that to make 1,000 of them and let them just sit in a warehouse, and do what these companies do. Um,
Yeah.
we make custom lights that are just they're I want to say a cut above, but
They are, dude.
they're
They're kind of
definitely
low.
created for this plant. Like that's really the only caveat here. They're not even insane. Like it's not like someone went and did something wild and that's why our lights are better and why we make good lights. They're just designed for what the task at hand is. Like there's spectrums that we use that other people just won't use, and that's simply because they're waiting a year or two from now to use those spectrums, so they could sell you a light that's not so great 150 times, and then they'll be like, "Oh, we came out with a new light," and they're really just using old technology, selling you another piece of it, and we don't do that. You'll get everything, the best of what we can find with our research, in our lights, in our equipment, in, pretty much all aspects of it so that you don't have to. Great Green Doors motto is we know it, you grow it. So we know it. If you want to grow it, that's a good place to start is with someone that knows.
Are the
So,
links in the bio for the groups and stuff?
well, I mean, I'm pretty sure that I'm pretty sure the website is up there and the Facebook's up there on our YouTube channel.
All right, cool.
If not, it's greatgreendoor.net. And if you're looking for seeds, it's unclericksgenetics.com. But yeah, so let's say you've done your research, you know where you want to get your equipment, you know what you're going to do, you have your plan, you have your genetics, everything's all worked out, right? Now, what do you got to do?
Put that into action. You got Germany to see.
You need another plan now. Now, this is something no one does. This is called standard operating procedure. Once you have
Okay.
everything and you're all ready to go, you need to write out and understand the plan you're about to execute. If it's autos, you should definitely do that. Planning whether it's going to be, you in cocoa or hydro with a dedicated feeding schedule with nutrients, or you're going to be amending the soil and doing top dresses. Whatever it is, you need to write this down and try to get your plan onto paper for the whole grow from start to end so that you have something to follow.
At least until you get the hang of it.
It's really important for
You know.
experienced growers too, because people just
Oh, absolutely.
are impulsive and do things that and ultimately
Me.
ruin their grow. And this had nothing to do with you before you put your hand up.
I'm just saying.
but
I'm like the king of winging it.
right, but if you if you're getting into this because you just have an unlimited amount of money and this is a stupid hobby for you and you just love it, so you're going to do it, then you're going to make more mistakes than anyone. If you're somebody and it's not even a big deal because you're not worried about, really anything, but now if you're somebody that is like, "Hey, I can't afford to smoke from the dispensary and I need it medically and this and that," like you're gonna definitely want to take this seriously. So you're gonna definitely want to know that every grow goes towards your investment being paid back to you in whatever
Yeah.
way makes it work for you. So you definitely want to follow this plan, and if your plan works, then you can go back to the drawing board and maybe increase here or decrease there where you can, and eventually you'll have an ultimate growing plan overall in a few years where other people are like, yeah, I've been growing 6 years. And you're like, oh, what's your SOP? And they're like, what? You're like,
Use Dove.
you did
Use
this for
Dove.
6 years? You did it
Oh,
for
soap.
6 years and you don't have a procedure that you
What kind of
follow?
soap? What kind of soap do I use?
But everybody answers too. Like I do know, I know what I know my procedure. Like, I do this, I do that, I do this. I'm like, yeah, but you need that like tried and true, like to the days, weeks,
Yeah. Road journaling.
for sure.
Which I think we also offer, do we not? We offer road
Um,
journaling.
we had them.
That's through
No
the,
one
isn't
was
that,
really, no one was really like wanting them. So
yeah.
I had a front page printed for like, uh, was that the Cannabis, the KCC too. So a bunch of people got those journals, and then that was it. I do
Oh,
have a
yeah.
digital.
No, yeah, that was for the singularity.
Right. I do have a digital journal.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I have a digital journal that we could send you as a template for you to follow, but it's not
Yeah.
um,
I mean, we offer a ton of
SO.
services,
It's not
guys.
as SOP style like as you could just go and type it out.
I mean, we offer so much.
You could
I
ask
know.
Chat GPT for a basic SOP and then go edit it. It is that kind of a future right now.
Yeah. Whatever. So,
Just have Chat GPT write your SOP.
we're here. We're here to help.
So, um, one thing I always tell people once they set their tents up is don't plant anything and let it run for like 24 hours and leave the light at like 70% and see if you struggle with keeping environment. And that's something that I don't think anybody does. But that's like kind of a big deal. If you can't keep that tent at a good temperature, or if it's at 80 when you start and that's optimal for you for seedlings, um, it's gonna get hotter in flower for sure. So like you want to be able to know you can control your environment, and if you can't, you probably bought somewhere along the line the wrong stuff or didn't check your environment out before you started, and that's
True.
again why we do the
And even that's going
grow
to fluctuate
consult.
a little bit depending on like where you're at, you know, like what position your grow is in. If it's in a regular room in the house, it's in a basement, is that basement concrete, dirt? You know, are you in a shed in the backyard? Are you in an attic? Are you in an abandoned apartment complex? Like, because Seasons change, days are different.
Abandoned
Yeah,
apartment
I'm
complex.
just saying, somebody might be growing weed in an abandoned barn somewhere in some state, like how the moonshiners make their whiskey. You know, I'm just saying, all that is going to change constantly. If you're in an attic and you have a day where it's 60 degrees out and your tent's like, oh, I'm only at like 80 degrees, you're good. But then you get a scorcher and it's like 90 degrees out and that hot sun is beating on your roof and your attic is like a fucking hot box and your tent is like 104 degrees now. That's
Right,
bad. So
right,
like you have to constantly monitor that as well. But if you have an automated system with a smart controller, it will take all that into account. It'll be like, hey, it's getting way too hot in here. I need to kick this exhaust fan up. I need to make sure that the air conditioner pops on, to get this to where it needs to stay. And it does it almost instantaneously. Like if that humidity rises 2% above where it's supposed to be, that inline fan kicks on, starts sucking air out of the tent, taking the humidity with it, replacing it with less humid or cooler air, So
right.
like there's
But this is something that I would have, if like if somebody wants an environment or a grow console setup console, it's free, so you can just get in touch with us and we'll help you out
absolutely.
there. But if your room is hot and you can only get it down to like mid 70s, the way you would handle that is by just piping your tent outside.
Yeah,
You would blow that air out of the house completely, and you would pull new air in from that
cooler.
room that's mid 70s, and that should be just fine. You know, I see people trying to run their tents at like 75 degrees, and that's more like a high pressure sodium, ceramic metal halide type of number. When your LED, you want it like mid 80s, 65% humidity. So you want that to be, a bit warmer anyway. It's optimal for flower growth
Cool.
to be over
And
82.
we're here for all that. Like we are here to bestow this knowledge upon
Right. If you were to come and be a part of the community, like we'll absolutely help with anything you need help with as a beginner. But another thing we offer beginners is, aside from these other people selling the same kits, is if you were to come and get a kit from us, we would give you a year of support to make sure you know what you're doing with it before you just
you.
like
That's a
attempt to
lie, dude.
buy
That's a
it and
lie.
leave.
Dude, that's a lie. We give lifetime support. What are you talking about?
Well,
Like people that have like these people have been with us for years, dude, and like we still like support them and help them. Like, see,
right. Well, you get support. That's
I guess
something
you're
that you don't get.
guaranteed a year, plus a decade,
Guaranteed a year of support. Well, we do
guaranteed.
help you, and there's a different way that we use our lights versus just clicking it on and letting the plant grow. Um, there's multiple things to learn as a beginner. Really, the best thing to learn is the equipment, the basics of what you need to set up, and you know watering schedules, what nutrients you're going to use, and really just try to get through a grow with a plan to the end and see how you did, and adjust from there and keep going. It's like kind of like anything else. You could knock it out of the park the first time, depending on what you have and the genetics you have. It could just be, a absolute home run. Sometimes you run into problems you didn't expect because maybe you watered a little bit less than you thought you should, or a little bit less than you know you needed to in flower, and it just created a deficiency you could never get away from. In your second grow, you don't do that, so you really see the difference. There's all sorts of there's just way too many
Variables.
Yeah, there's just way too many ways it could go. But one way that always works is just kind of sticking to the basics and trying to get through, get your baseline.
Is there any other questions from the chat?
Now, I don't think I don't think many people saw that we were live here, but that's fine.
Yeah,
As we get going through these, I'm sure there'll be more questions.
absolutely. Once we get more people in here, we can start doing little giveaways,
Right, with the people in the chat.
right?
Yeah,
We could do like a
choose
most. We could do a most shares giveaway as well.
one. But yeah, I mean, if you have your bases covered, you should be pretty good as a beginner. I think overthinking it, not having a support beacon, being on your own, just popping a bag seed and grabbing stuff on Amazon reviews. If you don't do any of that stuff, I think your odds
Yeah.
of enjoying the hobby are pretty high, and you know
Plus, plus, I know we're
your
just
levels
starting
of
out here.
success are probably going to be higher.
I know we're just starting out here, but we're definitely gonna have like subscriber goal giveaways. So like when we hit those subscriber thresholds that we will set, we'll have different prizes that go along with those. Um, so the more subscribers we get, the bigger the prizes are gonna be as they go up and up and up. So that'll be pretty dope as well.
For sure, man. I actually have a question for you.
For me,
Did growing help you out overall, or did it lead to hurting you overall?
whoa, dude, that's a loaded question, my man.
Hmm.
Um, that's a very loaded question. Initially, it kind of felt like it was hurting uh, because of all the you know fugazi stuff I was buying. But once I got the right products and the setup that I needed for myself and my space, like, it always helps now. I mean, I have basically unlimited bud, like whenever I want. Um, and I don't like. I'm not a huge scale. Like I don't grow that many plants, guys. Like I grow like two, two or three at a time. Sometimes four. You know, um, I currently have like almost 100 going right now, but that's for a different thing. Um, but yeah, 2 to 4 plants, and it's personal use. If the homie rolls through and he needs a little hookup, I got him. Like I don't sell it to him, I give it to him. You know, because
And
that's
and just another question.
you got
How
lots of questions, dude.
Yeah, how do you think it is, like, what do you think about how hard it was to get into growing when you started growing versus how it is for someone to get into growing like right now? Like let's say, 2024 you discovered I want to grow versus, when you decided you just discovered you wanted to grow.
I mean, to be honest, it wasn't like super bad because like I was in the culture already. Like I went to festivals, I talked to people that grow, so it wasn't like super bad. But I mean, I could imagine for someone that was like brand spanking new, like that didn't really know much, or maybe they're like a 20-year-old kid and they're just finding out like about cannabis and like all the cool things you can do with it and grow it and being one of it. I would imagine that.
Well, I
Not like they
mean,
can go
I mean,
home
I
and
mean more in the
like
maybe more in the aspect of like, all right, so let me put it this way. So like right
are
now,
things are things more open? Absolutely.
Dude, you
Is
had to
there?
buy a grow Bible before, or ask one of your dad's friends, or
Yeah.
somebody that you knew that like grew it in the middle of the woods somewhere, some
I
shit.
mean, that was
So
like
like
I don't know, 15 years ago. Yeah.
information was scarce. So
Yeah.
information is scarce, and then when you go like 10 years ago, people had information on the internet, but equipment was scarce. So now you're not getting, you're always missing something. Now today, you could really just Google it, get a grow
Well, I
kit
don't want to say. Yeah,
and
you can
seeds
Google it, but
right to your
I
door
don't
in
trust Google.
next day from Amazon. You know, you can get seeds
Yeah,
like from any Tom, Dick, and Harry on Facebook.
absolutely. You're right. You're right. It's a lot easier for people to get into it now,
It's totally
for
different. Like
sure.
you had to make
For
such a
sure.
decision before, like, and not to mention, there's people that are growing in legal states versus people that never had the legal state grow.
Well,
You
what
know,
I think it is, dude, is what I
so
really think
different.
it is that like, so you get these states that medicinally pass cannabis laws, and you think it's cool, and or like it's might be medicine you really need, and like, but you're paying out the wazoo for it.
Oh
You know,
God,
two
I'm
hundred
not
fifty
even
dollars
getting.
and $250
Are
an
we getting
ounce.
into
Like
dispensary
if you
stuff?
knew, well, kind
My
of I
buddy
am,
paid
because
four
that's
hundred
one of the
medical
reasons.
in Jersey. My buddy in Jersey is paying 400 for his medical. This wasn't recently. This was like a while ago when they'd started opening up medical stuff, like maybe 2011. You know what I mean? But like, how could you justify paying
I
four
mean,
hundred
bro,
dollars an
look
ounce for
at
medical when
here's
you
the
could
deal.
spend
Here's
$400 on a kit and seeds and grow, if not the same quality, but 10
I'll
times
tell
the
you why.
quantity.
I'll tell you why. Because you're not just paying for the weed. You're paying for the guy that works behind the counter at the dispensary. You're
Of
paying for the
course.
delivery driver that brought it there. You're paying for the guy in the thing that
Yeah,
yarded up. You're paying for the guy that cut it down. You're paying for the guy that grew it. You're paying for the person that thought about it. Like you're
I
you're
get it. I
paying
get it.
for all those people in between. So like you would be mind blown
Would
that
you
like
pay
a
that for
dispensary will
tomatoes?
go. Fuck no, I wouldn't
Why
pay.
not?
Right.
Because
Because
everybody
you
knows
can
how to grow a
easily
tomato.
grow a tomato.
You
Right,
could
absolutely.
easily grow
Yeah,
a plant of any
for
nature, dude.
sure.
It's
For
That's the
sure.
point. That's the
Let me
whole
just
point.
let me be Rain Man real quick, bro. Like, so
Oh
you get a
God.
dispensary that grows. Yeah, I'm going down this hole right now. You get a dispensary because it kind of like strikes a nerve with me. You get a dispensary that grows a plant, one plant, even though they have hundreds or thousands,
Right.
one plant. And let's say that plant yields 6 to 8 ounces. Well, let's be modest. It's probably more. It's probably closer to like 10 to 12. But
Right.
let's say 6 to 8, right? So you're charging $250 an ounce times eight. Do the math. What's that? What's that? Fucking $1,800?
You're
No,
asking me, but you were gonna Rain Man it.
250 times eight is 2 grand.
Okay.
So 2 grand, right? 2 grand.
I'm not validating any of this. I've
I'm
smoked quite
I'm
a bit,
fucking.
so I'm not
Yeah,
doing
it's
any
two
math.
grand.
But
So
I'm.
that plant,
That's not even
so
how
that
they
plant
do
that
it.
cost them, I
They'd
know, but
grow
that
that
plant
and
that
they'd clone
essentially,
it 300 times, and then they'd get 6 to 8 ounces off
well,
300
whatever. We're
plants
just we're just talking about one plant.
per
They're
round.
charging they're charging $2,000 for all the bud on that plant, right? Which is 8 ounces. You can grow a plant yourself for like, I mean, after your initial cost of buying all the equipment and shit, like when you really break it down, like it probably costs somewhere around like $40 to grow a plant.
Right. I mean, it depends what you do, but let's say you got a 3x3 kit,
$40.
3x3 kit, soup to nuts, every single thing, environment controlled, CO2, you name it. You can control automated, right? That's like maybe close to $1,000. A
Well,
thousand dollars in a three
in
by three. If you hold
retrospect,
on, if you see a green at 3x3 with the proper lighting with 480 watts in there, you're going to get close to what you're saying,
double.
10, 12 ounces, one plant in a 3x3 easily, right?
Right.
So if you
not
spent a
more.
thousand and you average that at $200 an ounce and you get 10 ounces, you doubled your revenue as far as what you put in is what, penny saved, penny earned kind of thing. You don't have to spend now that much money
You
on
just paid. You
weed,
just
but you
paid
just,
for your investment.
right. And, you got 10 ounces out of it.
Everything after that is free now,
So now you get onto
basically.
your second grow. If you spent $50 on, a good 3 pack of seeds and you grow, another two plants in there and you really turn them out, you get 8, 10 ounces each. I mean, that's what it's really about. But knowing what to do, having the right equipment, having a plan, having the nutrients, those are the things that's important to get from A to B. And that's the stuff that every single person gets wrong as a beginner. They
Right.
they definitely don't know the right place. It's like a mechanic. You see a first year novice mechanic, they're gonna have like Pittsburgh tools. Everything's gonna be from Harbor Freight, and they're not gonna know why half the crap doesn't come apart or go together right. And a lot of it's the tools, and you don't notice
Right.
that until you start making good money as a mechanic and buying the right tools, and then you're like, dude, I can't believe I struggled that long. Same thing in construction, you know.
It, it's like it's like not. It's like having a person that never drove in their life and just handing them their driver license and put it behind the wheel of a fucking Ferrari.
Not even just giving them a
Like,
driver's
and doing
license
that to everybody
and
at the same
Amazon.
time, and like no one knows what the fuck they're doing.
Give
Like,
them enough money to go on CarMax, and
awesome.
then give them a task they have to drive that car through that they've never even seen a car, right?
Yeah,
And then expect them
and
to
you
get
have
the
to
right car that's going to handle
right,
the
and you
trip.
total 10 Ferraris before you kind of finally figure it out. Like, instead of just saying, "Hey, let's take this driver class first and take it slow and easy and go over the basics, and then we'll get into more advanced shit." And by the time we're done, you're gonna know exactly what the fuck to do and how to operate this machine.
I've shown more skilled growers the basics again than I've shown beginners the basics again. If I get someone who's a beginner and they ask me information, they usually retain it, and that's the first thing they do. When I talk to an experienced grower, I get the same thing, and they retain the information, but they already knew it. So then they're just going and reapplying, the basics. So again, I think starting with the right foundation of what you're doing and why you're doing it is going to help you in droves, when you start growing, because there's way too many places you could screw
Droves?
up. Yeah, oh yeah,
Did you just
droves.
say droves?
Large
Droves.
large amount.
Yeah, I know what it means.
I'll give you the
Just
definition on
thought it
EP2.
was funny that that was your choice of word.
I think my mom used to say it to me all the time or something.
I think a lot
Someone beat
of
that
is.
into my head when I was in my formidable years.
Anyway, what to expect?
So, just a
There you
little
have it.
just a little recap of what you want to do, because we threw a lot out there. You want to make sure your environment can suit a grow space. You want to figure out a budget. You want to get your equipment from a place that is going to help you understand what you're buying. Find a community
Oh,
that's going to help you in your beginning stages
dang
where
it.
you're like, hey, does this look right? And you have your first pictures of your seedlings and stuff like that. Get your tips and tricks, get your equipment set up, make sure that you have a grow plan, and stick to the basics. That's pretty much all you need to do. I know it seems like a
Less
bunch,
is
but
more.
less is so much more, especially when feeding.
Well, mother moon.
Especially when feeding.
Earth. Earth. Earth.
That's where I am.
Yeah.
You're very far away.
Hey
The
man, we're
people
just
that are
trying to
just
zero
listening,
gravity.
for the people
Just
listening,
zero gravity grow right now.
Matt has a moon filter background that he's sitting on the surface of the moon with the Earth in the background.
zero gravity grow, guys. It's gonna be a thing one day. You'll see.
You got some good service. And you know that kind of just brings up one thing I want to say. I don't really like all this wireless stuff in grow tents, and I don't think the plants really appreciate it either. What I did quite a bit of reading about was electromagnetic interference and plants. And if you are like giving off a bad electrical or a large amount of electromagnetic interference, they can pick that up. And there are distress signals in that as well. So there's like
Yeah,
music that plants don't like and things like that. EMF is huge when you have stuff that's like 9 wireless devices and cameras all hooked up in your
yeah.
tent, and you're just bombarding that with signal constantly. So,
I think
we've
we're
been
gonna
like
go over that in episode 9. I think we have that slated for episode 9.
well, I don't, I just,
EMF,
I don't think that it's a
EMF.
great thing to set yourself up with all this wireless stuff. It's not good for you to be inside of a tent that also is like irradiating signal in every direction, and then you're standing there. There are wired systems that are much more efficient than all these, third party hooked
Yeah.
up to your internet things.
Is that your connection or mine? I kind of feel like it's laggy on mine.
No, it's you. I'm wired into the internet.
Huh.
See?
It's funny that we
Yeah,
just
there's
started
the.
talking about electromagnetic interference and my phone started acting up.
Yeah, you see, I'm wired so right into the router. So I don't really have much of
Yeah.
an issue there. Sometimes wired's better. You know.
So
Um,
yeah, I mean,
I
thanks
also
for
I also want to touch on just before we get away from the grow setups. I just want to touch on the fact that people still do buy high pressure sodium. Um, there's really nothing wrong with it as long as you can handle the heat and you want to grow with that method of needing a humidifier, and you're going to need a humidifier, something to really extract a ton of heat and bring a lot of new fresh air in. You're going to definitely want
yeah,
a high pressure sodium hood with
a part-time job.
a glass that does
I need
not
a
filter
part-time job.
UVB out, because that's something that the cheaper ones have, like a plastic or a cheap glass that filters the UVB out, and you need that. So those are the few
And
things to check for with that.
they cost a ton to run. They like chew electricity like
They
your
do
dog
and
chews a bone.
they do and they don't. Like
I mean, the new ones are very efficient,
you could,
but
I
the
mean, they're
older
all the same.
HPS,
It's the same.
oh,
If you're running a 600 watt, it's going to be 600 watts. If you're running LED 600 watt and it's at 30%, it's not 600 watts. So that's really the only big difference. It's like running your light at 100% from day one. You know, that's really the big
they're not
difference.
they're not as they're not as efficient as LED. You know that.
They're not as they're not as eco-friendly. They will cost more money. You will spend more in environment, um, but they are definitely very efficient. They're super bright,
Oh, they're good lights. I'm not
and
saying
they are
they're
not
dude.
that
HPS is
expensive. So that's what a lot of people
HPS is the
gravitate
beast.
towards. Sometimes they'll be like, "Oh, I could get a light with a ballast for $200 and it's 600 watts," and like,
Yeah.
you're not gonna, you're not. I can tell you confidently, you're not gonna get a better LED for that price than the
No,
quality
I
of
I,
the bud out
I
of a high
agree.
pressure sodium. Right. So if you do gravitate that way, keep that in mind.
You're just pausing, taking a drink.
I forgot I'm
Yeah.
live. I'm live, so
It's like you're giving
first person.
directions. You're gonna go down to the end of the street, stop sign, you're gonna go straight at the next stop sign. Pause. Just take a swig of my drink here. Yeah. Bro, I'm at the
Sorry, man.
second stop sign.
My brain was like, take a sip now.
I don't know.
So, um, yeah, I think if you follow those things, I don't really think there's many more stones to turn.
I got those stones. I'm already stoked.
All right, well, we can do the semi, like marketing pitchy thing. You know, just
Semi marketing pitchy thing.
yeah, we'll be in Kutztown on 420. So definitely see
Oh
us
yeah.
there. We'll
And
be on
421. We'll be there the entire
the
weekend.
yeah, we'll be the whole weekend. And then definitely be a part of our giveaway if you're looking to be in a giveaway. All you have to do is go on our Facebook. There's a post that literally has the event. It says post here. All you have to do is say anything, and your name will be entered on the wheel. And for the new people that are just listening, don't follow us on Facebook. We're actually going to be giving away some of the lights we're talking about and controllers and such once we get to 15,000 followers on Facebook. So definitely stay tuned for that if that's something you're interested in. Go to Facebook, definitely follow us so that when we get into the giveaway, you can get into that as well.
And that's soon too. How many
There's an
followers
event.
do we have?
We're nearing 11,000.
Right. So like at 15K, we only got 4,000 more followers. So it's gonna be relatively soon that that giveaway is gonna go down.
We were hoping to do this by June, so definitely if you want to get in the giveaway, share, so we can get up there to give this away. But it's the same lights we were just talking about before, the 680 watt with the controller, all that jazz. You know, we definitely want somebody to be able to have the opportunity to win some of our stuff out there as well as their genetics. So stay tuned for that giveaway as well. And yeah, we're gonna be. I don't know when we don't really have a schedule for the podcast, so probably
Yeah.
just gonna wing it for now. That's your favorite method there,
Wing
Matt.
it.
We're gonna
That's
wing
it,
it.
baby. That's what we
See,
do.
we don't have anybody to show us how to
That's why.
podcast,
That's why.
so we're
That's
gonna
why
just gonna
we've been
wing
there. That's why
it.
we've been there before because we wing it.
Right. Well, you know, sometimes you need people to be there first so they can crawl so you can run.
Changing the slogan to "We wing it," so you don't have to wang
We winged it so you could wang it.
it. That's right. Something like some of that nature. All right, dude. Well, pretty much. Peace.
You have any sign off things you want to bring
Any
up?
special guests? I don't know. I wish I had like a Ron Burgundy statement, like "You stay classy, San Diego." But I was ill prepared for my sign off. I didn't know.
I didn't mean a sign off like I didn't mean do you have a sign off slogan? I meant do you want to say anything before we sign off?
Oh, not really. I mean, I'm pretty much good.
All right, Matt. Well, thanks for being here on
I mean,
EP1.
I'll let you do the old sign off thing. Thanks for stopping by and all that. You can close this out. Take us home, Uncle Rick. You
All
know.
right. Well, you know, I just thank you for being part of EP1, Matt. And for the
Of
people that
course.
were viewing, Mark Schmuck, thank you for your comments and questions. Oh, I see you said, I appreciate the answers. I'll reach out about some equipment shortly. Cool, man. We'll be here. You know, either one of us can answer your questions and help guide you in the right direction. But thank you to our listeners. This has been We'd Been
I would
There,
like to say something as a
EP1.
sign off.
Now he's got something to say.
Yeah. I just want to
What
say,
would you like to
stay tuned for episode 2.
say? Unbelievable. Well, This has been We'd Been There, where we talk about sometimes we'd been there so that you
Yeah,
can
we've definitely
maybe
been
get
there
there. So we'll be back at some point. Check out our
at
streams.
some point
Yeah,
in the very near future.
yeah, it'll be soon. It'll be within the week. Just don't know when we're going to launch this yet. We have to commit to a day of the week so we can be consistent. But definitely,
We just want to break the seal here, and get this ball rolling.
absolutely, we have people waiting for this. So the wait is over. We will put up on Facebook probably first. So if you follow us on there, that's probably our best way to tap
Absolutely.
into following us and what we're doing next. All right. Thanks, everybody, and
There.
have
Thanks for stopping by.
have an awesome time and have a great 420 as well.